And they usher me into another room, sit me down in a huge plush leather chair. I am extremely comfortable. And they tell me that I've been chosen to be the next High Wizard.
Wow.
And I said, how was I chosen? They didn't say anything. They just kind of pushed over the question. They handed me a book that was called the High Wizard Handbook. It's as hokey as it sounds. It has a blue cover with a hand-drawn picture of a High Wizard. It has a plastic sleeve on it, and it has one of those binders, the plastic you slide up the side. And you open it, on the first page it says, instruction number 1, no one can tell you what to do. This is my job. I'm taking it. And there's a few little rough things in there, like you can use a cane or a wand. I thought a wand was hokey. I'd use a cane to bring class to the job. And then they pulled the cord on the far side of the wall, and this black curtain slid aside, and there were like 9 different costumes that I could wear. But all of them were basically a black tuxedo, some kind of footwear, top hat, wand or a cane, corpse paint on the face. Think about Kiss wearing a tuxedo. I'm thinking I could rock this look. And they tell me that my very first job, I became a High Wizard in July 1987.
Aloha and welcome to another show, guys. Today we have a very special guest, Zachary King, whose story is nothing short of incredible. Zachery was once a satanic wizard, deeply involved in the occult, and has since transformed into a God-fearing man. His journey from the darkest spiritual places to finding faith is remarkable, and we're going to dive deep into it today, guys. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that we'll be discussing some sensitive and graphic topics, so listener discretion is advised. Make sure little ears aren't around for this one. Also, please don't forget to subscribe, review, and give a thumbs up, and share this episode with anyone who might find it interesting. As we continue bringing these deep and sometimes controversial discussions, I want to make sure we can keep the content uncensored. That's why I'm starting a Patreon soon, where you'll be able to access exclusive videos and early releases. Your support there will help ensure we can discuss these sensitive topics openly without restrictions. So stay tuned for more information on how you can be part of that. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Zachary King to the show.
I don't know if you can see this machine over here.
I can.
That's where I do dialysis. I sit here and
Oh,
my dialysis machine.
wow. You do that at home?
Yeah, it's much more convenient at home, easier.
Yeah.
When I go in center, I'm there for 4 hours.
Mm.
When I do it at home, it's 3 hours.
Oh,
And I do it when I did it in center, it was 3 days a week. Now
oh,
it's 3 days a week, but
I
it's less pain in my heart and it gives me more energy.
appreciate that. You have such an incredible story, and I know it hasn't been an easy journey for you, from being deeply involved in the occult to becoming a God-fearing man. So today I want to give you the space to share your experience in your own words, starting from the beginning. I will try not to interrupt you too much. I'll make sure your entire story is heard, and I have questions that I have maybe at the end I can ask you. But yeah, if you're okay with that.
Okay.
But your story is incredible. I know your story starts from like when you were 10.
Yes. So this was by the time I was 10 years old, I had seen every movie that came on television that featured magic. You know, I would read the TV guide and see what's going to be on creature feature, double feature this Saturday. And if it had something to do with magic, I'd be all about it. And, you know, there were just favorite movies. I watched The Exorcist when it came on television. And when it came on television, I was 12, but I actually got to see the movie around the time it came out. And, I liked horror movies, but not horror movies that had The Creature from the Black Lagoon is campy. And it's obviously a man in a costume with an oxygen tank on his back, but, things that featured horror where somebody could levitate. And to me, levitation is flying. Superman levitates. So, I'm looking for a way that I can levitate or a way that I can make something disappear. Now, I had seen Doug Henning on television and later David Copperfield. And I actually saw David Copperfield live.
Oh.
And I know it's all sleight of hand, but he's really good.
Yes, he is.
He's right in front of you doing stuff. He did a trick where he said he was going to disappear on stage and reappear someplace out in the audience. It's like, okay, sure. And we know that's all a trick. But when he goes up and he's on the stage, somebody goes up and hands him something and he takes it. So he's solidly there because he was able to grab something. And then he was holding three things and he dropped one. So that hit the ground. So that's solid. So he's solid and that's solid. And suddenly he disappears in front of our eyes. He's just gone. And then every so many rows, there'll be a metal box that's taking up an entire seat. So no one can hit that seat. And right in front of me is one of those metal boxes on a seat.
Oh, cool.
There's a person sitting on either side. Suddenly, David Copperfield is standing on that metal box.
What?
There's no way he could have walked down the aisle because it's packed. Every row is packed. So he couldn't have walked down there and climbed up on the box. He couldn't have come up through the floor. It's a solid cement floor. There's carpet, but there's not a door. He's not popping up. The only other way is that he could have lowered down from the ceiling. But again, the room's not dark. Right. So if he'd have lowered down, we'd have seen that too. He's standing on the box. And it's not small enough that somebody could have been hiding in it and popped out of it. It's like, let me see, 8 inches wide and maybe 2 feet tall.
Okay.
And about 2 feet back. That's what he's standing on. I thought, is he really there? And I reached my hand out and I grabbed his leg.
Oh.
I grabbed his leg and there's nothing there. Then, obviously.
Right.
I reached out and I grabbed his leg and he says, please don't touch me.
Oh.
And I was like, very sorry, Mr. Copperfield. Seeing if you're really there. And he says, yes, I'm really here. And then you start to wonder, was he there the whole show? He couldn't have been there the whole show. He was up on stage.
Yeah.
So I wanted above anything else in life, no matter what was real and what was fake, I wanted magic to be real. And I went to my Baptist preacher and I asked him, was magic real? Like I saw David Copperfield or at that time Doug Henning on TV do all this stuff. He's like, no, that's magicians, sleight of hand. It's not real. And I went to my parents and I was like, is magic real? And they both laughed, said, no, magic is fake. It's just it's stuff done in movies or a magician does a show, but that's not real magic. And I said, okay, what is real magic? He goes, there's no such thing as real magic. Now, have you read the Bible?
Yes.
Okay. When it says thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt not lie, or thou shalt not steal,
yes,
it says it one time.
You're right. Yes.
And it appears in the 10 Commandments. I mean, obviously, thou shalt not kill is an important commandment. Yes. And it's important enough that it appears in the 10 Commandments. But still, even though it's that important, he says it once. Not to do magical things is mentioned 33 times.
Wow.
So in the Old Testament, if you do magical things, you're stoned to death. And in the New Testament, if you do magical things, you don't inherit the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, it's important not to do it. Now,
Yep.
a few years ago, I had one of my caregivers say he would give me, he's got $10,000 in the bank, and he'll give me $10,000 cash if I can prove magic is real. I was like, sure. So I brought out 33 verses in the Bible and pointed all those out to him. And I said, why would God warn you not to do something if you cannot do it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you couldn't kill somebody, thou shalt not kill wouldn't be in the Bible. If it
Right.
was impossible to lie or steal, those commandments wouldn't be there. But
True.
because you can do it, he doesn't want you to do it. And to
Sure.
prove that you can do it, he tells you not to. And in the case of magic, he tells you 33 times not to do it. And it's in the Old Testament and the New Testament. That proves magic is real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for my $10,000. Okay. So my parents tell me that. My Baptist preacher tells me that. But you know, my dad has told me stuff in the past that he swore was true. And it turned out he was wrong.
Hmm.
And then when I confront him on it, he's like, well, I thought I was right. I was giving you the best information I had, and I thought I was right. But it turns out I was wrong. My Baptist preacher actually lied and said something. And I caught him in the lie.
Okay.
He said that it wasn't really a lie because he had told us a story and then from a book, and then he told us another story from the same book, and one story contradicted the other one, even though it sounds like it's the same story. It's two different stories, and they're not his stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was just reading something, you know, that told his story and said something. And, you know, he's like, so it's not really a lie. You know, I'm thinking it still is a lie. But, you
Right.
know, you're an adult and you're going to say what you're going to say. So parents don't know everything. That's the lesson I learned as a child. That just because your dad says this, like my dad told me, never take drugs because they'll kill you.
Mm.
Anything you take can kill you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what about pot? Pot can kill you. He's like, never take your first drink because you might be an alcoholic and not know it till you take your first drink.
Mm.
You know, and never do any drugs because all drugs can kill you. I was like, what about cough syrup? No, drugs. That's drugs. And what about the cold medicine the doctor gives me when I have the flu? And he goes, that's medicine. But isn't all medicine drugs? And then he would get mad.
Of
You know, now
course.
I'm arguing and, you know, I'm not taking the point to what he's trying to say. So I set out to see is magic real? Now, if I do magic and it doesn't work, I'm never going to do it again. Yeah, I prove that it doesn't work. I just proved my facts were true. You know, my Baptist preacher told the truth this time. You know, but what if I do something and it works and my parents don't know it works?
Mm.
Knowledge is power. I will have power over my parents. They're not going to know I've got because I'm never going to say, oh, Dad, by the way, you know, I did this magic spell. I got this. You know, and even if I did tell my dad that, I don't know that he would know it was bad.
Mm.
You know, he's saying that magic is fake. If he'd have read the Bible, he'd have known it was real. For that matter, if the Baptist preacher had read the Bible, he would know it was real. So I decide, what kind of magic spell can I do? I'm not a fan of my pop quiz every Friday, but you know, if I hurt my teacher, they'll just get another teacher that'll give me the same pop quiz.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my PE coach. I'm a little fat, nerdy kid. And, you know, I know if they fire the PE coach or he gets a broken leg and has to be out, they'll hire another PE coach. And this one could be worse than the first one. So, you know, I'm looking ahead. So I decide I'm going to do a spell for money.
Mm.
If somebody happens to lose a couple of bucks and I find it, okay, I'm down with that. So I did a magic spell for money. And I did all my spells on Friday night. And then Saturday, I got to go out and, well, I had to work for my dad for the first 3 or 4 hours and then I would go out and play the rest of the day. And I go out to play, and I find a can of tennis balls, which I'm never going to use, but I open it up, and it's got a $5 bill in it. Now, this is 1976. The three most important things to me are penny candy, candy bars, and comic books. I said,
Yeah.
fat nerd kid. So comic books are 15 to 20 cents. Candy bars are 15 to 20 cents. And penny candy is a penny. That candy that you buy in the Quick Trip or whatever gas station you have now that you pay 50 cents for, back in the day was a penny.
Mm-hmm.
To put that in perspective, when my dad was a kid in the 1930s, penny candy was 10 pieces of candy for a penny.
Oh my God.
10 pieces for a penny, and now it's 50 cents. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, thank you.
So I decide that, I mean, that's a good treasure trove there. I mean, I can get 5 pieces of candy if my dad will pay the tax. So, but that could have been a coincidence. We had a tennis tournament in town. Somebody had to find that can. It just happened to be me. So I'm going to try it again the next Friday. And the next day I went out. There were people on the street walking. There were people walking in front of me and people walking behind me. I got to a next block and looked down in the grass, and there was a $10 bill. People in front of me could have seen that, but they didn't. I saw it. Now I can get 1,000 pieces of candy. But still, this could be a coincidence. Somebody had to find it. It just happened to be me. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do it one more time. Now, at the same time as this is happening, when I was at school, on the first day of school, this kid walked up to me and said, meet me in the bathroom at the first break. Well, first of all, we don't have the internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing that says when somebody says, meet me in the bathroom, don't go. And we didn't have child aware or bad touch, or, you weren't taught stuff like that. And, so I'm a little naive kid, meet me in the bathroom at the first break. Okay. So 10:20, the first break. You've got 15 minutes. You can go to the bathroom. You can go to the lunchroom and get a milk. You can go outside and play. You can do pretty much anything you want for 15 minutes, but then you got to come back to the class. So I go to the bathroom, and there's like 49 other children, boys and girls, in the same bathroom. It's a huge bathroom. This building was brand new at this time. We were the first year students to get to use it. And we're in this room, and the guy says, okay, we're going to turn out the lights, chant a phrase a certain number of times, and if you do it right, the spirit of a burn victim will show up in the mirror.
Oh.
Okay. I'm thinking there's no way this is going to happen. I mean, I don't know what this is, some kind of game, but I'm not believing. I've never seen this. I've never heard of it. And it was the Bloody Mary game. Except that it's not really a game, it's a spell. And to make a spell work, you need intention, repetition, and demonic presence.
Oh.
If you're doing a Harry Potter spell and you're like, it doesn't work, the magic is fake. Oh, no. J.K. Rowling's confirmed that all the magic in that is real. It's all Wiccan magic. She put Wiccan magic, Wiccan spells in her books. She even did 1/3 of her magic, 1/3 of her research went into occult books.
Oh.
This is small stuff she's admitted to.
Oh, wow.
She wrote a letter that she had on her website for a while that said she intentionally manipulated the minds of young people to believe that magic worked so that they would all join the Wiccan movement, because she believes the Wiccan faith is the one true faith, and it's dying out because all its members are old, and she needs to bring a bunch of new lifeblood into it so that it still lives. Mother Gaia has servants to serve her for the rest of their lives. So, by the way, she also said in a 2019 interview on the BBC, she admitted that Harry Potter was satanic.
Wow.
which I can't imagine her really doing, but I heard the interview.
Mm-hmm.
The interviewer said, isn't most of the pushback you get from Harry Potter from the United States because they believe it's satanic. And she said, it is. It is satanic, John. I'm glad you've given me this platform to admit it to the world.
Wow.
And that was on Christmas Day, 2019.
Oh my.
And if you look for it, you got to search hard. You can find it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's two versions of it. There's the actual interview, and then there's another interview that was played on another show, and there's laughter behind it when she says it. And it's like, obviously it was overdubbed into this interview. And then another, most likely you won't find it though.
Mm.
I mentioned this on multiple interviews and they weren't able to find it, but I mentioned it on one and they have it up. They also found the letter that used to be on her website where she said she intentionally manipulated the minds of young people.
Wow. I
So
believe it.
I've got to do this chanting and then see what happens. I'm not expecting anything to happen. The only thing that we're apprehensive about is that you have to turn off the lights. We're all 10 years old, and some of us are brave at 10, and some of us are not.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the lights went out, I think there was a little girl in there started to cry.
Mm.
And they're like, no, we're just going to chant this phrase and see what happens. So we chanted it. We had to do it X number of times, and we did that. And then all of a sudden, the spirit of a burn victim showed up in the mirror. And a bunch of kids shrieked, screamed, and ran out of the bathroom. All but one. He's an idiot. Yeah, I can say he was an idiot because it was me. I stayed in the bathroom thinking, I did this. I chanted the phrase X number of times. I did it. I made this face appear. And it's just floating in the mirror. It's a horrible looking face.
Mm-hmm.
It's really dark skin, shiny, and its face around over its mouth has two pieces of skin hanging down that attach to the bottom part, which when you're 10 years old, it looks like a burn victim. It looks like face melted, and is now that's attached to the bottom part of his face. And this is the coolest thing ever. Now, remember too that at 10 years old, you're not the sharpest tack. I'm about as sharp as a marble. When you see it in the mirror, it's not in some far off distant land that you've tapped into with the mirror. Like this isn't in London somewhere, and you're now looking at Buckingham Palace, and this is a burn victim that's at Buckingham Palace. It's not in a volcano somewhere. It's not even in the room on the other side of the mirror. If you're seeing something in the mirror, it's next to you. But I'm not smart enough to pick that up. I'm also, the things that I learned from my Baptist church was that Jesus defeated the devil on the cross 2,000 years ago, so he's no threat to us now. And that Satan is afraid of the Baptist church. Now, the funny part about that statement is, and I hadn't read the whole Bible, at this point, but if Satan was afraid of the Baptist church, doesn't it seem odd that he attacked God on his own turf? Like he's in heaven and mounts an offensive and charges against God and has St. Michael hand him his ass and kick him out of heaven with 1/3 of the angels. If you got defeated by God fighting him on his own territory, why would he be afraid of humans in a Baptist church? But I was 10 years old. Why would I question that? So he's afraid of the Baptists, and he's no threat to us, which basically means if the Baptists all believe that they're open season to attack them every day, and they don't know they're being attacked because they think it's not the devil. Maybe it's just bad luck. Luck of the draw. This is what's happening to me today. So I start doing this. I'm doing it every day at school. And then notes got sent home because 2 kids got injured leaving the bathroom. And I don't mean like bumped and bruised hurt. I mean broken arm, broken leg hurt.
Oh.
They fell down and got trampled. They go crying to the nurse and find out they've got a broken arm, a broken leg.
Right.
So the school sends home notes. Now, not because they knew we're summoning a demon and the demon is scaring everybody. They don't know that. All they know is if they let the game continue and more people get hurt, they're going to be sued. So they send notes home. I've got to go to my dad in the den and I've got to tell him, I need you to read this and sign it, and I've got to turn it in tomorrow. And normally he takes the note and he doesn't even read it. He just takes it, signs it, throws it back at me. But today he looked at it a little more carefully and read it. And my dad was huge. I was small for my age. So I'm 10 years old and I'm like, picture a normal size of a 10-year-old, whatever that is, and then subtract 6 inches off of that, and you'll have me. But I'm fat. So I probably weigh more than the average 10-year-old, but I'm not taller than, or even the same size. And my dad had been a Marine. And I still feel like he still thought he was. And when he asked you to do something, he didn't ask. He told. And it was in a gruff voice. He always sounded mad. So when he asked me in his usual loving tone, have I been playing this game? He said, have you been playing this game? And being afraid of my dad as I was, I told him 100% the truth. So I wouldn't because the note said, if you were caught playing it, since you've already received this note, you'll be suspended for 3 days.
Oh.
And I wasn't about to be caught at school, be home with my dad for 3 days. So, and I wouldn't be outside playing. I'd be sitting in a room with my dad, probably while he reads the most boring Bible verses to me. Getting something out of this? No. So I started doing it at home. And when I did it at school, it was once a day. And every time I did it, the face showed up. Jeez. But now the notes got sent home. So I started doing it at home. How dangerous could that be? I'm pulling a demon right into my house. And I did it in the morning when I woke up, do it, see the demon face, go to the bathroom, do it again, brush my teeth, do it again, wash my hands, do it again. Go have breakfast, come back, brush my teeth again, do it again. And I'm doing it 25 times a day. Now, and not 25 times in the morning, but a lot. Then when I get home from school, my parents aren't home. So I do it again another 25 times. I'm just mystified. I don't know if this is magic or not. But every time I do it, I'm saying a simple phrase and this face is showing up. How could this not be magic? And regardless if it is or not, who is that person? Is it the spirit of a burned victim? I don't know. Now, I don't believe really, we weren't taught anything about demons or angels. And, we talked about God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus. There was no extra frills anywhere. They didn't say anything about guardian angels or any of the angels that are mentioned in the Bible. Get anything like that. Just, the Trinity and, and not to do, the 10 Commandments not to do. But there's more sins than just the 10 Commandments. And we're not told about any of those.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, later in this talk, you'll hear why I was no longer Baptist after a while.
Mm.
So I keep doing this, and I'm having a great time doing this. This is like the greatest thing in the world. And and well, I mean, it's an ugly, hideous face, but I'm making it happen.
Mm.
If you were a kid, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
how old you are, but did you have the Bloody Mary game when you were a kid?
Yes. Yep.
Never.
No, it didn't work. Maybe I didn't put the intention in it. Thank goodness it didn't.
Well, it just meant there wasn't a demon present.
Oh, thank God. Yeah. So no, it didn't. I didn't have a demon, I guess, present. So it did not work.
But you did try it.
I did try it, yes.
So I've talked to people all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in New Zealand at a Catholic college, and the professors there told me not to mention the Bloody Mary game because the kids won't know what it means. They won't know what it is, and I'll scare them. And I said, I think you'll be surprised what your kids know.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't lead the talk, the Holy Spirit does. So if you don't want me to say that, you need to pray to the Holy Spirit that I don't say it. Start my talk, I'm doing my talk, and I go into the Bloody Mary game. And I ask, how many of you have heard of the Bloody Mary game? Every hand went up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to gasp from the other side of the room. So now an auditorium where they're shocked that their students know. And I said, how many of you have played it? And all the hands went up.
Mm.
And then I said, let's make it easier. How many of you have not played it?
Mm.
No hands went up.
Mm.
So then I explained my story. And there was a couple of kids in there that had the same experience. They saw the face and it scared them so bad they never did it again.
Wow.
And to me, it had the opposite effect.
Mm.
You know, I saw the face and it was like, whoa, this is like magic and I'm making it work. So,
Gosh.
you know, I do the 2 spells for money and I get money both times.
Mm-hmm.
By the 3rd time, I was doing the Bloody Mary chant at home.
Mm.
And I thought, what if I did the Bloody Mary chant halfway into the spell?
Oh.
What would happen then? So I did my spell up to a certain point. Then I
Mhm.
stopped and I did the Bloody Mary chant. And the face showed up. And I held up cash in both hands and showed it all my magic stuff that I was doing the spell. And I kept doing, finished out my spell. And then the next day I went out to play. And there was this place called US Sugar. And it has a really large unpaved parking lot. And I went out there to play. And I saw something really bright and shiny on the ground. And I ran to see what that was. When I got there, there was nothing bright and shiny. But I looked down and I saw what looked like Monopoly money rolled up tight in rubber bands.
Oh my God.
So I picked that up and I put it in my pocket.
Mm.
Go back to playing. At the end of the night, everybody's taking a bath, everybody's in bed, everybody's going to sleep. I'm in my room with the lights out, but I'm in my bed with a sheet up over my head and a flashlight in my mouth. And I'm checking, what do I have? When I unraveled all the rubber bands, the reason it looked like Monopoly money is because I'd never seen a $100 bill.
Oh.
And when I unraveled everything, I had 10 $100 bills. Do you think maybe on an off chance that maybe I told my parents that I did it in 1976,
Mm.
everything was dirt cheap, and I'm now worth $1,000? Keep in mind that money in 1976 is worth 7 times that amount now.
Oh my gosh.
So a dollar would be $7 now. $1,000 would be $7,000.
Incredible.
So if I'm buying penny candy, I can buy 100,000 pieces.
Don't tell me that's what you did.
No, no,
Okay,
I
good.
bought stuff that I wanted. I bought a lot of music. I bought
Oh,
clothes. My
at
my
10?
my parents would buy me shoes
Mm,
and jackets and things, that stuff that they wouldn't buy at Sears
mm.
because you can get it almost looking brand new at Goodwill. My mom would do it because I could get a leather jacket from Goodwill for $5,
Mhm,
or I could go to Sears and pay $300 for it.
mhm,
So I would buy stuff, tell my mom I'm going to Goodwill, but instead I was going to department stores,
mhm.
and I was buying nice boots, leather jacket, nice pants, belt buckles, a few hats, mainly music though, music and comic books. So, and yes, I bought my own candy and I was flush in candy, but I knew that, I'm not going to waste money buying something like candy. You eat it and it's gone. I want
Mhm.
something that's going to last me a while. I also realized that if I did this spell every day the same way and the results were the same every day, in 1 year, I could afford to buy a Lamborghini Countach. That was my favorite car. That's what I wanted, was a Lamborghini Countach. If I did it for 3 years and didn't buy the Countach, I'd be a millionaire.
Mm.
Now, remember that I'm looking at it from a 10-year-old's perspective.
Yes.
I'm not looking at it as though, if I win the money to buy a Lamborghini, my dad has to drive me to the Lamborghini store. I have to explain to my dad how I have $220,000. I have to buy the car, and then my dad has to drive it home. My Lamborghini that can go 180 miles an hour easily, my dad is going to drive it home 15 miles an hour. I'm also not thinking of the insurance on that.
Mm.
Plus, I can't drive it because I'm 10.
Mhm.
I'll have to wait till I'm 16, and there's no way my dad's going to let me drive the Lamborghini. Dad, I bought the Lamborghini. Yeah, you can have it when you're 30. I know how my dad works. So, but I'm not looking at any of those things. I'm just thinking Lamborghini, millionaire. And magic makes me happier than anything.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that I had to remove a portion of this interview due to the sensitive nature of the topic. Thanks for your understanding and I appreciate your continued support. Now, let's continue with the interview.
One night I was at a sleepover and I saw these two people in black robes with the cows raised up. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they didn't say anything, just got up
Mm.
and walked away. And it was two people I knew. I didn't know why you would dress like that. I've seen that look in movies, and in the movies it was creepy. But I thought maybe party or something. I don't know. And after about 2 weeks, I thought, I'm gonna go ask somebody I trust. And I went and asked this guy. And I said, hey, I heard something recently. He goes, what you got? I said, you're gonna laugh. I heard this was a satanic coven. Crazy, right? And I'm expecting him to burst out laughing and
Mhm.
just push me away and say, go play or something. But instead, he said, it is.
Oh.
And my heart sunk into my stomach. And I was like, am I a member? No. Would you like to be? People at my talks are like, didn't you know right from wrong? Didn't you know Satan's the bad guy? It's like, let's go back to my Baptist preacher saying that Jesus defeated Satan on the cross 2,000 years ago, and Satan's no threat, and Satan's afraid of the Baptist church. I'm
Mm.
Baptist, so he's afraid of me. So Satan's given me everything I want because Satan's my friend.
Mm.
My parents and God are the no police.
Mm.
Tell me a verse in the Bible that says you can do something. Because all the verses I know are thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's nowhere in there that God says, go ahead and get naked. It's fun. No, there's Adam and Eve. They were both naked and they were ashamed.
Mm-hmm.
Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not do that. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not do that. These people were caught doing something thou shalt not, and they were killed. So, and then you've got my parents, no matter what I ask, no, 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 thou shalt not, no, 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 thou shalt not. So, and then I've got Satan going, have another candy bar, have some pizza. Why don't you go have sex now? Oh, you like that sex? Try sex with this girl. How about this girl? Here's a Snicker bar. So it's like, we're going to watch a movie. We're going to go to a concert. My first concert I went and saw was Kiss.
Mm.
And when you're 12 years old and you're watching Kiss on stage, the original four members, makeup, costumes, fire, blood, it's like a religious experience.
Mm.
It's one thing to see it on video. It's another to be in person. It's like, whoa, and we were like front stage. It was like, man, this was amazing. So, and then proving my dad wrong about all the things that don't kill you. The first pill was supposed to kill me. My first joint was supposed to kill me. Alcohol was supposed to make me an alcoholic. Every person he said to never trust, turned out they were good guys. I was having a good time. People that were supposed to be the bad guys in town that my dad had warned me, if that person ever invites you in their car, run away and tell me. Well, that was a nice guy. He's given me places before. Well, he was in my coven. And, I would never tell my parents, but, I was trusting people I shouldn't, taking things that I shouldn't, but the effects were not what my dad had said they would be.
Mm-hmm.
I like smoking cigarettes and cigars and pipes. They're fun. They make me feel like an adult. And I like doing it, but you got to be 19 to buy that stuff. And if I quit, I'm going to lose all these privileges, all these things that I have access to. I'm no longer going to have access to. What do I have to do to join? So there's 13 steps to join. And you've done almost all of them already. All you have left to do, you have to slice your left thumb because it's the closest to your heart. You have to bleed onto a document and sign it in 3 places in your own blood.
Oh.
The blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not mine. And I sign my name to that. Jesus died for everybody, but not me. And I sign my name to that. On the final page of a 5-page document, I agree to sell my soul to the devil. Now, at this point, when I'm giving my talks, I ask the audience, how many people believe you can sell your soul to the devil? Do you?
I think you can, yes.
Okay. So then usually I have an assistant sitting next to me. Sometimes it's my wife. She drives on the pilot. And I ask everybody, how many people in this room can legally sell me my wife's on the pilot? Nobody puts their hands up. So why not? Because it doesn't belong to you. Right. It doesn't belong to you. That's the same reason you can't sell your soul. It doesn't belong to you. You may have heard God died for you. Jesus paid the ultimate price for your soul. You can't lease it, you can't loan it, and you certainly cannot sell it. Now, Satan is a liar. I'm here to confirm he is a liar. If Satan tells you good morning, get a second opinion. He will lie to you and tell you he owns your soul. What he owns is your will. In the Catholic Church, we can go to confession and give our will back to God. Now, you might need a deliverance after that, or you might need exorcism, but all you need to do to give your will back to God is to confess, get absolution from Jesus, and then you're golden again. But Satan continues to lie to you. He'll come to you on your deathbed and tell you that he owns your soul. What he wants you to do is despair. Because if you despair, that's a sin. And then he might have you in hell. But as long as you're not despairing and you know he's lying to you, you're fine. You're not going to hell.
Mm.
But at 13 years old was when I signed this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that. I thought they were telling me the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I signed it all away. And then I found myself in a farmhouse, and it was at night. I was supposed to be going over for sleepover. And I'm dressed in a white robe, a cowl raised, and I'm baptized into a vat. It looks like a demon's head. And you're baptized full submersion in human blood, pig's blood, and human urine. Pull you up, and you go into another room and you take a shower. And you come out in a black robe with the cowl raised, signifying you've been baptized into a world of darkness. And then they give you a crucifix with a wheel. It's a wheel with a crucifix in it. And then you spin the crucifix upside down, denoting human sacrifice. They read the document that you signed the night before. You show them your thumb to show them that you sliced your thumb. And they show the document with the blood that you signed in your own blood. And then you celebrate. You break the arms downward on the crucifix, announcing Christ. And now you celebrate. You have a big party celebrating that you're now a Satanist. But the reality is you're celebrating that one day you're going to die and go to hell. And the robes there, you wore a white robe if you were initiate. If you were actually in the coven, you wore a black robe with a red inverted pentagram. And if you were a mage, which is one of the magic practitioners, which we had quite a few, then you wore a red robe with a black inverted pentagram. And that's what I wanted. That's what they gave me. When I first was made a member, I got to take off the black robe and they gave me the red robe. And I love the red robe because people respected you. People thought your opinion mattered. You weren't, even if you were a kid and you had it, you suddenly weren't a kid in their eyes. Like they treated you with respect. And they treated me with respect the whole time, because I practiced magic the whole time. I stayed with my Satanic coven. I was turning 18. I was going to be graduating from high school. And my my coven, doesn't expand out. Like they're in my town, and we have members that come from all the surrounding towns. And a lot of covens are connected, but my coven wasn't connected with anybody else. So I want to join another Satanic coven, but I don't know how to find one. I know that if you go to an adult bookstore, which when I turn 18, I can go, but they're like the skeeziest place in the world to be. And there's guys sitting in the parking lot in their car, masturbating in plain sight for everybody to see. I don't want to see that. But if you go in there, they have swingers magazines. And in the back of the swingers magazines, Satanic covens will advertise for membership. I'm not so sure that I want to find a Satanic coven that's in a swingers magazine. So, it's not the savoriest of person that I don't want to hang out with them. I don't know where their hands have been. I don't know where any of their body parts have been. And I don't want them to shake my hand with that hand. So, but I figured they're not going to advertise a coven in the town square. But I found it because they advertised it in the town square. My college, every Wednesday, would have the student union open. And the student union would have these clubs. So the Baptist Student Union, the Catholic Student Union, the Republican and the Democrat Student Union, the Wiccan and the Satanic Student Union. I'm like, oh, all right. So I joined this, see what it's like. I didn't officially join. I was like, let me see what it's like. I'll go to a few of their meetings, see if they're worth joining. Well, these guys would when they practice magic, their magic is like I'm going to drink this beer in one gulp. Then I'm going to take the can and wave it above my head 3 times, and I'm going to throw it across the room to the trash can. And if it lands in the trash can, I'll be given a brand new yellow pickup truck tomorrow. That's not how a magic spell works. And they would do it, and tomorrow they don't have a yellow pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, the magic spell didn't work. It's like, because you weren't doing real magic. And then like Saturday night we would meet, and that's where you do the magic spell, or you get drunk, or you'd have sex, or you take drugs. And then guess what they did Sunday morning? They went to church. Break it up? No. They went to church because now they got to get sanctified from God.
Mm-hmm.
Back in a state of grace. Now they're back to being with God. And then Saturday, they're going to meet in their Satanic coven meeting again, because that's just a club. It's just a fun club. And some of them have even told their parents, hey, guess what the student union that I joined? The Satanic Student Union. Have fun, dear. Don't get hurt. I didn't like that. I didn't want that. I wanted a real Satanic coven. I came from a real Satanic coven. So I called them and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a real Satanic coven. I read a book during the summer. And in that book, it mentioned the Illuminati trying to take over the world, and that they were doing it. And that there's a place called Bohemian Grove, somewhere in California. I don't know, but is there a coven like that? They're like, yes. I said, what's it called? They're like, World Church of Satan. Also Satan's World Church. 2 different names, same coven. Okay, where are they? This is their phone number. Call it. Give them your real name, because they're going to ask to see your ID when you go there. So you have to prove it's you. And just follow the prompts. Do what they say to do. Okay. Why didn't you tell me this in the first place? They're like, you had to look for yourself first. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I call the number, rings like 12 times, and then it goes to voicemail. And it tells me that I have to leave my name, my date of birth, and how did I hear about them. So I did that. And it gave them the name of my original coven and what I did in that coven. And the contact person, if they wanted to contact them and ask about it. And then I hung up. And then I waited a couple of weeks and I heard back from them. And they were having a party at a building in a warehouse. And they told me what the address was. And they said, you'll probably have to park about 2 miles away and walk in. Okay. And I'm thinking, why would that be the case? So I find the building, I find where it is, and it's in it's a giant warehouse. It's like a Walmart super center, but we didn't have super centers then. And so I drive away looking for a place to park. And I'm about 2 miles away when I find a place. And there's security there. Like, they say, we'll be watching your car. Don't worry about it. And then they're like, how far you got to go? And I said, all the way back to that. He goes, oh, good luck. Thanks. Thought they were going to give me a ride or something. So I walk 2 miles and I knock on the door, and the door opens up, and it's like, when that door is closed, you can barely hear anything. Door opened up and you're almost knocked over with the sound. And I walk inside, they check my ID, check my name off on the list, tell me they've been inspecting me, go in and enjoy whatever I want to. Okay. So I walk inside and I'm suddenly celebrating with like 10,000 of my closest friends I've never met. There's tables with sandwiches and pizza. There's also tables with potato chips and dip and veggies and things like that. There's a table that has marijuana and mushrooms. There's another table that has pills. There's a table that has syringes. I'm not into syringes, but it was interesting seeing it there. Mm-hmm. They had bongs. You could pack a bong and just smoke it and leave the bong there for the next person. But I'm not wanting to do drugs because I want to be aware of what's going on. And there's a dance floor, there's a DJ, and I walk beyond that, and there's a lot of people dancing, and there's lots of tables, chairs, couches, recliners, and people are just sitting around talking. And then in another part of the room, there's these people wearing suits that are talking to some guy dressed in a tuxedo and a top hat, corpse paint on his face, and has a wand in his hand. And they seem to be involved in a very intense conversation. And I'm thinking those people are in charge. So I'm walking around, and the guy in the wizard paint and all this stuff walks past me and just looks at me and nods his head. I nod my head back, and I grab this guy next to me and I said, "Who is that? What is that? How can I do that?" And they're like, "Who was in charge of your coven?" I said, "We had a really big coven. Like it was 110 to 150 members at any given time. And we had 13 high priests and priestesses that ran the coven." He goes, "Okay. Who does the magic?" I said, "The mage." I said, "We wear red robes. I'm a mage." He goes, "Well, that's the high wizard." Now, when I was 13 years old at a sleepover, I got up to go to the bathroom at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And on my way to the bathroom, that guy asked me. He came into the house, looked up and saw me and winked at me. And I just smiled and went on to the bathroom. He walked into the kitchen, and I really wanted to follow him into the kitchen and see who he is. But I didn't. I just went back to the bedroom and went to bed. And when I see this guy now, it's not the same guy, but it's a similar look.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, well, what does he do? You know, and they're like, he's in control of the magic for the coven. So if somebody pays the coven $1 million, he's the guy that does it. You know, anybody can do magic, but he does the official magic. So somebody comes in and says, "Here's $10 million. Anybody can do it." Well, that's nice that you say anybody can do it, but the high wizard's going to do it. And, you know, they have a percentage rate they have to maintain to stay a high wizard, and which is hard to do. It's 90% or greater. So, you know, I'm like, I was like, how can I do that? I have no idea. I know you have to get Satan's attention, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how that happens. So I shimmy up next to this group of people who kind of are ignoring me. And then I get the high wizard off to himself. And I said, "Do you do many hexes that involve abortions?" He goes, "Yeah, all hexes involve an abortion." I said, "I did that at my last coven. I was the mage. Do you think maybe I could assist you in one or two of those?" He goes, "Sure." So he gives me a business card and he says, "Call me on that number, and I'll let you know when I have one that I have to do." All right. So I made myself a pest. And he eventually picked me up one day so we could go do one. I got to see an entire entourage in the back of a limo and the high wizard. But I got in with the high wizards. Now I'm doing that, and I'm going to some of their coven meetings, which are just a little more than a party. It's like information is being shared, but it's information that I don't even care about. And I don't know why it's important. And then I get this notice in the mail. Now, I went in when I was 18. I'm almost about to turn 21. And I get this notice in the mail that I've been called before the CEO and board of directors. This is who runs this coven, is the CEO and board of directors. And usually when somebody gets called before the CEO and board of directors, they're never seen or heard from again. In Florida, there's a 2-week cooling off period to buy a handgun. So I thought, I'm going to go do that because I ain't going out like no sucker. I don't know what they have planned for me, but if they're going to kill me, I'm going to shoot back. I go in this room. I'm dressed nice. I go into this room in a building I've never been in before. And they usher me into another room, sit me down in a huge plush leather chair. I am extremely comfortable. And they tell me that I've been chosen to be the next High Wizard.
Wow.
And I said, how was I chosen? They didn't say anything. They just kind of pushed over the question. They handed me a book that was called the High Wizard Handbook. It's as hokey as it sounds. It has a blue cover with a hand-drawn picture of a High Wizard. It has a plastic sleeve on it, and it has one of those binders with plastic that you slide up the side.
Mm-hmm.
And you open it, on the first page, it says, instruction number 1, no one can tell you what to do. This is my job. I'm taking it. And there's a few little rough things in there, like you can use a cane or a wand. I thought a wand was hokey. I'd use a cane to bring class to the job. And then they pulled a cord on the far side of the wall, and this black curtain slid aside, and there were like 9 different costumes that I could wear. But all of them were basically a black tuxedo, some kind of footwear, top hat, wand or a cane, corpse paint on the face. Think about Kiss wearing a tuxedo.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I could rock this look. And they tell me that my very first job, I became a High Wizard in July of 1987. And they told me that my first job was to go to Bohemian Grove. Now, I had read about Bohemian Grove. Didn't know if it was real, didn't know where it was. It said you're going to fly into San Francisco and a limo ride will take you there. And then you're going to do the ceremony. I was like, where can I learn the ceremony? He goes, you'll learn it there. That should be embarrassing. I don't know what to do. You know, I'm learning it for the first time, on the job training. And I felt like I was a brain surgeon. And they said, go ahead, here's your scalpel, go. You're going to die. So I went there and I did it. And the ceremony doesn't take place for 2 weeks. You're there for 2 weeks. And people are coming up to you. They have to get permission to talk to you. And then you get to see all these people. It's mainly political figures, mainly from the United States. But there's a lot of people there from high finance. There's also occasionally a rock star. Gay porn stars there. And gay prostitutes. And then there'll be an announcement, orgy in the field. Now, it's a men-only event. So orgy in the field means there's a bunch of men having sex. And sometimes it's political people that you know sign bills against homosexuality, participating in homosexuality at the Grove. There's a quote. It's actually a recording of Richard Nixon talking. You can find it on YouTube, where somebody asked him about going to Bohemian Grove. And I'll censor it for you. But he said there were too many GD gay people there. But he actually didn't say GD. He said the words. And the gay people, he used the F word for gay people. And then in 87, while I was there, I saw Ronald Reagan.
Oh, no.
And I wanted to shake his hand because I voted for Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was the man. And I walked up. I've got an entourage around me, and he has Secret Service around him. Everybody parts company so that I can reach in and shake his hand. I go to shake Ronald Reagan's hand. He starts to shake my hand because he sees a hand coming in. And then he looks up at me and sees how I look, and he pulls his hand back. And then he's not running away, but he's leaning back. Like, before he was at least standing up straight. Now he's pulling his hand back and he's leaning back. And I was like, that's okay. I voted for you. And he didn't say anything. He just stood there. I don't think he knew what to think of whatever this is. And then I saw the Clintons there in 92. Remember, it's a men's only event. Saw Hillary Clinton there in 92. And she showed up to share she signed some papers she wanted Bill to know. And security charged her, put a gun to her forehead, and made her drop to her knees. And she's like, got this smirk on her face and cussing these people out. And I asked Bill, I said, who is this? Do you want us to shoot her? And he goes, no, it's my wife and I love her. Oh, okay. So then I told these guys to escort her off the property, make sure she doesn't come back. So they escort her off the property. She tells Bill that, she got some papers signed. And he's like, that's great, honey. I'll see you in a couple of days. So they take her off the property. Now, it's about 10 minutes later. This guy runs up to me. He's huffing and puffing. He's been actually running back to me. And he goes, we're having an argument down by the woman. I was like, what about her? Half the guys say when you said, don't let her come back, that meant you were saying kill her. And the other half said, no, just off the property. So we need to know what you mean. We need clarification. And I looked at Bill and he goes, I love her. I said, she lives. He goes, you're going to disappoint a bunch of guys. Turned around and ran back. And then eventually the guy came back, and said, she's still alive? Yeah, they were kind of mad. So they leave. In 94, I saw Barack Obama, but I didn't know that's who it was. No Obama in 94. And I was walking across this field, and every once in a while, the guy that's hosting us stops us and says, that guy, the black guy, wants to set up an appointment with you. So one of my guys would write down his name and who he was and an appointment and what time and all that. And then would go take him the piece of paper and tell him what time and where we'll meet. And we're doing that to everybody. And finally, I noticed there's two guys walking towards us. And they're on a collision course for us. And I know the white guy is George Soros. I don't know who the is. And, I'm like, well, this might be my first fun of the day. Maybe they're going to get too close and they're going to be tasered to the ground. I've seen that happen. Or they're going to get tackled. To me, that's fun. That's the only time I get to see fun. Maybe I'll see something like that. But on the way there, this guy stops us and goes, that guy wants a spell. There's 4 guys. Which one? The one with the goatee. That's 3 of them. The guy in jeans. That's 2 of them. That's both of them. The ball guy. There's only one ball guy. You could have said the ball guy to begin with. So, but in that length of time, these 2 guys walked past us. No fun for me. And the guy that's walking with us goes, oh, that black guy is going to be president one day. I looked at him and I said, nobody voted for Jesse Jackson. Why would they vote for him? He goes, I don't know, but the Illuminati's putting him in.
Was he there with the Michelle?
No.
Oh.
Not that I know of. I only saw him walking with George Soros, and I only saw him one time. Yeah. Well, no girls allowed, not even fake girls.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, well, I saw both Bushes. I probably saw a lot more famous people, but I wasn't political So if you weren't on the news every day because you're doing something, I voted for Ronald Reagan, so I knew Reagan.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured I was going to be voting for Clinton. And I met Clinton. Even when I met Clinton initially, I wasn't sure it was him.
Hmm.
And when you see somebody on TV all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you see them in person, they look different.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the weight or the face,
Mm-hmm.
hair. Something is off when you meet a famous person in person. Like,
Hmm.
unless they look exactly like they did on TV. And even then, you may not know
Mm-hmm.
it's not. So, I'm not positive. And he was eating a piece of cake that I wanted. There was only one left, and he took it. And I came up and asked him if I could just take a bite of it. Got a clean fork. I'll just take the one bite and leave you the rest. And he said, well, why don't you take the half that you want and I'll eat the rest of it? Now, this is what a good guy I am. I took the front half
Mm-hmm.
because the half I wanted was all that icing in the back. But I thought I'll be nice and leave you all the icing. So I just took the front half. Now I say that's not what a nice guy I am.
Mm.
I did 146 assisted abortions when I was a high wizard. So apparently I wasn't the nicest guy. But when you're the high wizard and you're doing this stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
don't think you're a bad guy.
Mm.
Still like to make people laugh. I
Yeah.
still, if I said a joke in a room and it was legitimately funny, it wasn't something they're not laughing because it's polite and they don't want the wrath of the high wizard. Like it was really funny. We see guys that are tearing up because we're laughing so hard they're crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. I love
Mm.
to make people laugh that hard, and that I had that ability. It was such a plus to me, and I would take people out for dinner, take people out for drinks, or get high with them, or you know, have sex with a bunch of people, but it was a fun event. People weren't leaving going, "Oh, darn, night wizard made me do this and this." They weren't saying that. They're like, when are you going to have another party that I can come to?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm the life of the party. I may not be really the life of the party. People aren't not wanting to be with me.
Right. Well, at what point did you realize you wanted to leave all this behind? What was the turning point for you?
I had done, like I said, 146 assisted abortions,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd had three that failed. And that was the beginning of the end, I think,
Mm-hmm.
was I never connected that, but
Mm-hmm.
I had done, I was at this abortion mill, showed up with my entourage. On our side of where the abortion mill actually is a satanic biker gang, smoking cigarettes, flipping off the people across the street, flicking their cigarettes over at them, baring their breasts at them, turning around and mooning them, or showing them the genitals. They're just being rude to the people across the street. People across the street are praying on prayer ropes or Jesus beads or something, and they're just being quiet, silent, they're just standing there, and I don't even know what they're doing, but they're not doing anything like these guys are doing.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are my people, so they're protecting me. So we go inside, go upstairs, and we're ready. We prep ourselves. I get my altar ready for my hex, and then I walk over, put my mask and my gloves on, and the abortion doctor and the nurse are there. We're getting ready to do this, and the people across the street drop to their knees and start chanting. Well, we're Satanists. We chant. I wonder what they're chanting. We can't make it out. But the windows upstairs are these really large jalousie windows. And
Mm-hmm.
so you have two windows, both of them about a foot and a half tall each. And
Wow.
there's a hand crank, and if you crank it, the windows open up. So
Mm-hmm.
you can hear exactly what they're saying. And so we hear what they say a couple of times. And then to make sure we're hearing it right, I repeat back what I'm hearing. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. This doesn't make any sense to me. I grew up Baptist, so we never said a rosary. My handler repeats back what he hears: Holy Mary, Mother of God. And we burst out laughing. We're like, God is old. How old must his mom be? He's got to be hella old. And it ended in laughter, and we closed the window back. And we go back to do the abortion. And the woman is, she's up, she's ready to go. Doctor's ready with his tools. And he checks her and says, "You're not even dilated." Goes, I am dilated. The baby's in the birth canal. It's about to happen. And he checks again. He goes, "No, not dilated. We're wasting our time." She was not going to be dilated for at least 6 more hours. Where are you going to be in 6 hours? I said, over Tennessee. In 8 hours, I'm going to be in another city, different state. I got time to wait. And he goes, "How about tomorrow?" I said, "Different state." I said, "I'm in a different state pretty much the next 3 days." And he's like, "So maybe you can get a different eye wizard to come and do this." And she's like, "Is this your first rodeo too?" Check. I said, "I don't know what dilated means. I wouldn't know what I'm checking for." She's like, "You guys are both idiots." And she starts cussing us out. I mean, it's just up one side and down the other. And we're talking amongst ourselves, and we hear a baby cry. We look down, baby came out. At that point, a nurse and a social worker and an attorney are notified, and the baby gets adopted. Doesn't go to a Satanist home, it goes to a home that wants it, and it will treat it decent. But our job is over. And when I got back to the office, which one of our main offices is in Chicago, downtown Chicago, and I had my secretary pull up all the files of all the failed abortions. This is not computerized. So she's got to look it up by hand. And it takes her a few days. And then what I found was every eye wizard that had a failed abortion failed because it took place during the day, during regular business hours. So, because sometimes we do these assisted abortions at night, after hours. And none of these were done after hours. Everything that was done after hours always worked. So it's during the day, and there's people across the street or even on the same property wearing Jesus ropes, Jesus beads, glory beads. When I first started, I got to go to Bohemian Grove. I got to meet presidents and queens, actors, queens traveling the world. I got to meet rock stars. I got to make rock stars. I made 1,200 rock stars.
You're kidding.
No, if you were a rock star between 87 and 99, and you weren't famous prior to 87, I made you. You became a rock star through me. I'll tell you how. We're getting near the end of this. So we would do what's called a warehouse deal. They happen in or LA, in the warehouse district. People have been told by their agent, their press person, their director, their producer, their friend, bandmate, another band, go to this place and be willing to do anything. Rock star. So I go to this place, I'm dressed as the High Wizard, and I bring an entourage of people with me. And this place might have 20,000 people in it. It's huge. And some people are in a stall. Some people are out in the open. Some people set up their entire band. I don't care. I don't want to hear you play. Whatever you play, I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to ask a question. And I ask, who wants to be famous? Everybody shoots their hand up. Everybody wants to be famous. What are you willing to do to be famous?
Mm.
Now, people say they would do anything.
Mm.
And I say, what is anything? And here's where they draw a line in the sand. Well, Satan doesn't want that person.
Mm-hmm.
He wants the person that's willing to jump in the mud and be drugged through it. If you're willing to do that, Satan will make you famous.
Mm-hmm.
Draw that line in the sand, you're never going to be famous. So, but if you're willing to do it, then your name goes in a list, and I hand you what's called a tier 2 card. I'm tier 1. This card is tier 2. It's blank. There's a picture of the New York skyline on it, and then there's a phone number on the other side. So you call that number, do what they tell you to do. Remember that it's going to be filmed and photographed. And if you do it right, in 6 months, I'll see you on MTV. I'm making these rock stars, and I asked one time. I actually made friends with a few of them. And I asked, between two of them, I found out this is what happens. So you're given either an address of a warehouse to go to that looks dingy, or you're given an address in LA of a hotel, and it looks like a brand new hotel. And there's not very many cars at it ever. And people show up, walk inside, tell them they were given this address,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to give them your ID. And then they make you a key, make you wait for a little bit, and then you're sent upstairs. You get off the elevator, go to your room, use the key to open the door. When you open the door, there's instructions on the table. There's a large white diamond-shaped table, and it has a glass bowl on it. In the glass bowl are envelopes. On the table is instructions. It tells you there's a camera above the door, above you, facing down. You're supposed to choose an envelope, read what it says, and decide if you want to do that. But you also have to hold it up to the camera so they can see what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Decide not to do this one, then you reach your hand in and you grab a different envelope. If you decide and you hold that one up to the camera, if you decide to do neither one, you fold those up, put them both in their envelopes, put it in your back pocket, come back downstairs, hand it in at the front desk, and they'll give you your ID back. But you also don't get this chance again for 3 more years. So if you decide not to do whatever this envelope tells you to do, for 3 years, you have to sit on your hands and watch all the people become rock stars that could have been you. You could be the one that's getting the Grammy. You could be the one having your songs appear in movies. You could have the #1 song of the year that, like Elton John had that song in The Lion King. That was like the #1 song of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You could have the #1 songs. You could have all the women or men chasing you everywhere. You could be the most popular person on the planet, or you could be where you are now, where you refuse to do one of these things. And now you get to watch everybody else that did what you turned down. And now look how famous they are. So all the rock stars in the world, with the exception of 4 that I know of, did this. And think about all the rock stars you know, and know that all of them had to do one of these 4 things. But remember that Taylor Swift is a billionaire in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
To be that billionaire, she had to do one of those 4 things. How I know who signed is when I was a high wizard, I would get a list every 90 days. They knew where I was going to be for the next 90 days. And so they would know where all the concerts were going to be around the next 90 days. And anybody that was on this list was somebody that signed with the Illuminati, which is what we did. We signed them up with the Illuminati. You agree to sell your soul to the Illuminati. So there's a video of Lady Gaga. It's called Gaga 5.2. and it appeared on Netflix. But if you buy the DVD, there's something in the outtakes where she admitted that she had performed in a strip club. And at the end of the show, she was loading her van or her vehicle, and this guy stopped her and said that he could make her famous. He could make her a rock star. She's got what it takes, but I can make you world famous.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, how? And he said, agree to sell your soul to the Illuminati, and I'll make you famous. I'll make you a rock star.
Mm.
She thought, what have I got to lose? I'm not famous now.
Mm-hmm.
Who the Illuminati is, and who knows if we even have a soul.
Mm-hmm.
So she agreed. And now she's in full body pain, and she thinks she's in full body pain because she sold her soul to the Illuminati, and she thinks she needs an exorcism. They didn't put that in the regular video, but she confirms that you have to sell your soul to the Illuminati. At this point in my life, I got to make high wizard. I got to make rock stars. I got to party with rock stars. I got to party with actors. I got to meet kings and queens and dignitaries and presidents and go to Bohemian Grove and travel around the world. But now that I've been a high wizard for 12 years, I have to travel. I have to do magic. I have to party with rock stars. I have to party with actors. I have to meet kings and queens and dignitaries and do magic. I'm tired of doing everything I'm doing. That $87 million ain't mine.
Yeah.
It's not like I could take out $1 million and do what I want with it. They watch everything that happens to that account. They also watch my own personal account. They want to see, where's he spending his money? Is he just paying his bills, or is he getting money for some other reason? So everything I do is being watched. I'm getting more and more paranoid, and I'm tired of doing everything that I'm doing. Sinning has lost its fun and its flair. There's no good candy anymore in the store. I'm tired of it. And I start thinking, imagine if I was no longer doing this.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that I had to remove a portion of this interview due to the sensitive nature of the topic. If you'd like to listen to the full conversation, you'll find it on my Patreon. Thanks for your understanding, and I appreciate your continued support. And that brings us to an end of another episode. I want to sincerely thank my special guest, Zachary King, for sharing his powerful and deeply personal story with us today. We've covered some very sensitive topics, and I appreciate both Zachary's openness and willingness to engage with these important discussions. Before you go, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and give a thumbs up. And share this episode with anyone you think might benefit from hearing it. Your support really helps us continue to explore these challenging subjects. Mahalo for tuning in, and we'll see you the next time. Ahui ho kako. Bye.